I was down in my equipment cage today and going through some old stuff, and I thought it might be interesting to talk about the evolution of my lenses and the gear that I've come to use. I worked a long time in a television network, so I used the cameras that they gave me. And it wasn't until later in my career that I started to buy gear and work for myself. And the first one I ever used was the Canon T2i, which was one of the first small cameras, like a Rebel camera, that allowed you to shoot at least bursts of video. And then I moved to the 5D Mark II that I bought from a friend who was a humanitarian photographer. And I had this little Zacuto eyepiece that I put on the back end of it. And I have to say, I really loved how simple it was, where it was just me and a camera. And I really enjoyed the 5D, and I took it all over the world, and I absolutely loved it. Even though I was very skeptical when the small cameras came out to start with. And on it, I had the 28-135 Canon lens. The biggest complaint was that the exposure wasn't consistent throughout the lens. So when you zoomed in, it went darker and you'd have to readjust, and obviously didn't have exposure on the lens. And then I just got some little piddly things like the Nifty 50 that everybody likes to use, that was super cheap, like 150 bucks, but had a nice look to it, and it was pretty fast. I think it was a 1.4 or something like that. And then in an old camera closet, I found a Nikon 20mm lens. It was old, I don't know much about it, but I got a little adapter, and it let me put it on my 5D, and then eventually on other cameras as well. So for a while, I just had these three lenses to work with. And then I was like, okay, I need to upgrade. Let me get some like cinema style lenses. So then I went and got these Rokinon. So I got a Rokinon, and I got a 135, a 14, and an 85. Because I figured I already had the 50 and the 20, so I could kind of get by. And I got by with those for a long time. And I definitely liked having exposure on the lens, and that got me to the Blackmagic 6K Pro, which was the next camera that I bought. And then not too long ago, I got the Pictor Zoom, which is the 20-55, which I love. But in the process, because it was so heavy, I ended up building it out like a big camera. And there are a lot of times that I really do miss just running around with a little camera and not a bunch of crap, and I didn't have to put it on my shoulder. And I could really disappear if I'm shooting documentary work on streets and things like that. And so I'd like to hear from you guys what lenses you grew up through, right? Because I'm on the big lens now. It's not the big $20,000, $50,000 lenses, but it does really good, and I really like it. But there are days I just miss doing simple little handheld. So I'd like to know what lenses you guys are using. This is what I'm doing. Now I have these, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use them for, because the 20-55 does most of everything that I need. That's just a once around the lenses that I've used. And I'd love to hear what you guys are using and what you're growing towards or growing away from.